Gates thinks of himself as God, in control of the solar system. And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. You thought gain-of-function research on pathogens was dangerous. Try that. But that doesn't stop Harvard University. Its scientists are testing that technology by spewing calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
How long will it be that countries keep experiencing these climate impacts before someone gets desperate and says, hey, we need to cool the planet with solar geoengineering?
Back in 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines. It also spewed a cloud of 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide particles into the stratosphere. That chemical cloud was hundreds of miles across and reflected about 2% of sunlight back to space. And in 1992, the Earth was cooler than in 1991.
That is part of the mechanism, but you do this in a controlled way.
Modeling studies have found that it could reduce the intensity of heat waves.
It could eradicate blue sky.
You start increasing the amount of diffuse light and you have less direct light, which is the same thing as saying it looks hazy and white.
And if the global community decides it should stop?
So you stop injecting it, and after a year, the cloud is gone, you get this rapid warming at a rate much faster than you would get if we had done nothing. If you've taken out the greenhouse gases that are adding to the warming, then the temperature won't go up, it'll stay what it is. So if we don't stop emitting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, we don't try as hard as we can to do that, then there's no point in doing solar geoengineering.
Direct air carbon capturing, another climate change solution backed by Bill Gates and by big oil.
Now, just to restate, Bill Gates is not God. Bill Gates is some kind of weird, socially awkward rich guy who lives in Seattle. He doesn't own the planet, but he's now changing the planet single-handedly. This is not just over his yard in Seattle. This is over your yard and our oceans and the whole planet.
They know that the atmosphere is changing. We're the one that's changing it because we're crazy. And we'll catch it. So the atmosphere is changing. Now what happens when the atmosphere changes? That means his guns and his bombs and all the stuff that makes him his warrior that you think you can't fight with, they don't work, because what makes them work is they only harness the energy that's relevant to this atmosphere that make gunpowder fire, make nuclear stuff work. Now if the atmosphere changes, none of that shit works. You get it? The atmosphere is changing now. Why is it cold? It's 30 degrees in Beaumont, Texas, which is only a couple of miles from the Gulf of Mexico. They have to take the HARP and make it as much cold all over, because if they didn't do it with the HARP, which is the weather modifying thing that they're dealing with this HARP, if they didn't do it, it would be 100 degrees all over the country. So they are making this weather. What they do is that they go up in the air and they fly with the chemtrails, crisscross the skies, and it makes what is a chem dome. Look and know the difference. If you see the skies, it's a complete gray, smooth. Then you will see clouds up under it. So wait a minute, if there's the clouds, what is this gray sky? You don't have blue sky and clouds no more. You have dark clouds and you have this gray stuff. That's chem dome. They create that. With these airplanes, they go up in there and they drop this chemtrails and create chem dome, and then it changes the weather. So it'll start warming up one day. They'll go up there with a plane and crisscross the sky, and the next thing it's freezing. They're creating that because the atmosphere above this is changing. So but they're running out of time, because soon the guns and the bombs won't work. You see, because what is going on is that the particular era in which all those, this particular atmosphere before and stuff is actually completely worn down. The only thing here is that they got to keep you distracted, because they know, like I said, Farrakhan said, if they went to war with you, if they were to just get 3,000 black people to think the same at one time, it would be over. Pretty soon it ain't gonna matter, because what's going on inside of us is happening biologically anyway. The cracker know it. He over there doing what he got to do, and plus they say they have them wars because what they do is they take 20 years and they make all these new weapons. And then they have to see what works and what don't, and they got to use up all them weapons. And they doing all that shit now because they know pretty soon the atmosphere will get ready to change.
A new world is coming.
Let you know a little secret. We can change this shit tomorrow. We can change it tomorrow. You know, It's just a matter of you doing what you got to do based on your minds.
The government is tracking people who got superpowers.
A demonstration to show how HAARP could manipulate the atmosphere.
So what we've done is we've got a cloud generator up here. It's an ultrasonic nebulizer. It's going to create real water particles, just like you would find in a cloud. What we're seeing now is we're actually filling this chamber with microscopic water particles. You can see that it's almost completely filled with water vapor. It's beginning to condense a little bit on the sides, just so that you can see the detail. We've got a nice dense fog, just like you were sitting inside a cloud at 50,000 feet.
At the bottom of the cloud chamber, Dr. Agnew has constructed an ELF wave transmitter, a miniature version of HAARP.
We're only using 100 watts. It's perfectly safe.
When Dr. Agnew turns on the ELF wave transmitter and begins shooting ELF waves into the simulated cloud, the cloud begins to move up to the top of the chamber, taking the moisture with it.
If you get down low enough, you can actually see a clear layer above the antenna. It is actually pushing these water particles up, and that's exactly how HAARP works. What we've done is we've not only pushed the cloud off of the HAARP antenna, but as you can see, our cloud is almost completely gone inside. HAARP does exactly the same thing. It ionizes the particles, pushes them out into space.
HAARP is one of several ELF wave transmitters located all over the globe. The United States owns and operates 3 of them. One in Kokona, Alaska, another in Fairbanks, Alaska, and one in Arecibo, Puerto Rico. Russia has one in Vasilursky near Nizhny Novgorod, and the European Union has one near Tromsø in Norway. Working in tandem, these transmitters could potentially alter the weather anywhere in the world, changing the jet stream's course entirely, triggering massive rainstorms or droughts. Even hurricane steering would be possible by heating up the atmosphere and building up high-pressure domes that could deflect or change the course of hurricanes. The U.S. government is firm in its position that HAARP is just an atmospheric research facility. But is it more than coincidence that since going online, some experts have reported strange weather anomalies, including massive floods, hurricanes, and earthquakes? HAARP went online in 1994, and construction continued until 2007. There are reportedly a total of 5 known ionospheric heaters, including HAARP, in the world today. There are possibly 20 other ionospheric heaters in existence all over the world. There is no conclusive proof that any of them are being used as weather weapons, though they do have the ability to manipulate the ionosphere. And that brings us to something else. December 2001. Scientists at NASA's Ames Research Center in Palo Alto, California make a discovery. In studying more than 100 earthquakes with magnitudes of 5.0 or greater, they find that almost all of them are preceded by electrical disturbances in the ionosphere. Could there be a connection to HAARP or a facility like it?
To say that HAARP can artificially excite the ionosphere in such a way to cause